You are listening to The Overthinker's Guide to Joy, episode 54. This is the one where we're going to talk about quarter-life crises. Let's dive in. This is a podcast for overthinkers, overdoers, and overachievers who are tired of feeling over-anxious and just want to feel better. I'm your host, certified life coach, Jackie DeCrenis. Hey there, and welcome back. So a few weeks ago, I did a podcast on 6 ways to manage a midlife crisis. And it turns out it's been one of my most popular episodes. And recently, I was reminded that midlife does not corner the market on crises. In fact, currently, I have a client who's 25 years old who is struggling with a quarter-life crisis. Now, it's easy for those of us well past middle age to discount the quarter-life crisis because when you're on the other side of 50, 25 feels really young, and it's almost like they still have their training wheels on for life. So we expect them to have bumps and bruises and scrapes because they're just learning to ride. But when you're 25 years old and going through a major reset in your life, it's still a crisis of sorts. And in the case of my client, she graduated college 4 years ago and has been dating the same guy she met in college 6 years ago. And while 6 years may not feel like a lifetime, it's a long time when you're 25 years old. I mean, it's a quarter of her life, and they've been together for all of their adult life together. They had a college romance, and then they've moved 3 different times to 3 different apartments, and they've had 3 different jobs each, often the nature of young people trying to figure out their career paths. They even got a dog together, which, as any couple can attest, when you adopt a puppy together and raise it, it becomes like your baby. But over the last few months, almost a year, there has been a lot of discourse in the relationship. And the discourse was related to some dysfunction and probably was masked by the bubble of college life for so many years, and then the financial dependence on parents early in the relationship, and then the stressors of the pandemic, and then real life just settled in. And when I say real life, I mean financial independence, working full-time, cooking, cleaning, trying to make ends meet, social obligations, family obligations, and just some of the challenges that are in any long-term relationship. So as a result, the relationship started to become more and more challenging. Issues about money, issues about productivity, issues about division of labor in the household, issues of recreational drug or alcohol usage, and so on. So whether it's quarter life or midlife or late in life, these are real issues for any couple. And this couple went to counseling both individually and together, but things just didn't change. The disagreements were kind of the same. And finally, my client, after much angst and debate, finally decided to call it quits. And not unlike with the midlife crisis, the issues of quarter life are still the same. Where will I go? Where will I live? What can I afford? Who gets to keep the dog? And in the midst of this, my client was looking for a new job. She and her boss had very different communication styles, and no matter how hard she worked, her boss was just never happy. This affected her motivation, her self-esteem, and her confidence. So, amidst leaving her relationship, her apartment, her dog, at least temporarily while she gets resettled, she's also leaving her job. This definitely qualifies as a quarter-life crisis. She felt emotionally, mentally, and physically overwhelmed by all the changes. She felt like she was failing at everything and really starting over, rethinking every adult decision she had made thus far. And during our last session, she really broke down in tears. She was packing up her things in her apartment, and all the emotions came flooding out. She was putting the last 6 years of her life into a few boxes, suitcases, and trash bags. And while her dog, who she loves more than anything, kept looking at her confused and with his big, sad puppy dog eyes. She was heartbroken about having to leave her dog. So I asked her, if you were not alone packing right now and you were taking your dog with you, would you feel better about all the changes that you're about to make? And she said, I think so. So I said, then you're on the right track, because packing is just a temporary inconvenience or circumstance. And hopefully the custody of the dog will be temporary too. But when you get away from the stressors of a difficult relationship, you will start feeling better. The great news is she had landed a new job and she made plans to rent a room from her sister in a different city. So during our session, we talked about the art of reframing. Rather than focusing on what wasn't working, things like I'm packing alone, I'm leaving my dog, I'm leaving a relationship of 6 years, I'm leaving my job, we talked about focusing on what was working. She got a new job. Her new job was going to pay her more and allow her to work remotely. Her sister was happy to have her come rent a bedroom from her for a few months. Her breakup was relatively amicable. There was no yelling, no drama, no mine versus yours. It was pretty easy, relatively speaking. So the other thing that was good was packing gave her an opportunity to purge and minimize things that were weighing her down. Everything from clothes that no longer fit to just junk that she had accumulated. And we talked about the opportunity to start fresh and be more mindful about keeping things simpler. We talked about focusing on saving more and spending less. And she admitted to probably buying more than she needed as a way to sublimate her feelings of unhappiness in this relationship. So again, rather than focusing on something ending, by looking at it as a clearing or a new beginning, she began to feel better. She had done a lot of work before coming to this decision. She recognized that the dysfunction of both her relationship and her job had weighed heavily on her for months. And subsequently, she was unhappy during her days and her evenings. And she did all the right things. Like I said, she went to therapy and coaching, and she got in touch with those thoughts and feelings. She found a way to compassionately share them with her partner in an effort to try and make things work. But when things didn't change, she gave herself permission to make a change, albeit a big change and a hard change, a change for the better. And when we're stuck, we forget that we have choices. This is something I talk about in episode 51, the most powerful thought you can think. Adopting the thought, I have choices, is a very powerful thought. It takes you out of the victim mentality and puts you back in the driver's seat of your own life. And it reminds me of the quote, there are 3 solutions to every problem. Accept it, change it, or leave it. If you can't accept it, change it. And if you can't change it, leave it. But you're never stuck. While change can be hard, it can also be good. And when we lean into curiosity that surrounds change, we create opportunity. And where there's opportunity, there's a new adventure that awaits us. This is what I love to refer to as the world of new possibilities. So whether or not you're going through a midlife or quarter life or late in life crisis, you are not stuck. You always have choices. That's the thought that you need to remember so that you can take your first step forward. All right, friends, I want to wish you a great week, and I look forward to talking to you next time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Overthinker's Guide to Joy. If you're enjoying these episodes, please subscribe or follow this podcast so you can always be in the know when the next episode drops. If you would like to learn more about working with me as a coach, you can connect with me through my website at jackiedegrenis.com. That's JACKIEDECRINIS.com.